Good morning. The call to worship comes from climate blogger Raymond Katz. I believe in knowledge and kindness. Throughout history, these are the behaviors that made a difference. To go forward, to live meaningful lives, and to break out of childish and cruel patterns, we as a species must wake up to reality, face reality, and consciously choose how we want to change. We must do this because nobody will survive without dramatic, imaginative, and thoughtful change. Please turn to hymn number 170 in your gray hymnal, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People." We light the chalice with words by Eric Heller Wagner. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit, touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. Good morning. My name is Rachel Mark, one of several roundtable liturgists here today. Anyone interested in joining or learning about our Social Justice Roundtable, please see me or any of the other liturgists. We are pleased to welcome today our guest speaker, Sharee Clark, a resident of Wilkes-Barre. During the 2022 election cycle, Sharee served as the consulting organizer for UU the Vote 2022 campaign. Whether you are a member or visitor joining us today, or perhaps worshiping online, we are glad you are here. For those of you online, a Zoom coffee hour will follow services at 11:30. For those here in person, coffee hour will be held downstairs in the common room. In the spirit of the transformative power of community, you are welcome, whoever you are, wherever you live, whomever you love. Whatever you do for a living, you are welcome at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. Please join in the reading of the unison affirmation printed in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning, I'm Anita Menser, and I'm going to do the Time for All Ages today. Our story for today is entitled The Other Side, and was written by Jacqueline Woodson, and the illustrations are done by the wonderful E.B. Lewis. The pictures will be on the screen, so please direct your eyes in that location. That summer, the fence that stretched through our town seemed bigger. We lived in a yellow house on one side of it. White people lived on the other. And Mama said, "Don't climb over that fence when you play." She said it wasn't safe. That summer, there was a girl who wore a pink sweater. Each morning, she climbed up on that fence and she stared over at our side. Sometimes I stared back. She never sat in that fence with anybody, that girl didn't. Once, when we were jumping rope, she asked if she could play. And my friend Sandra said no, without even asking the rest of us. I don't know what I would have said. Maybe yes, maybe no. That summer, everyone and everything on the other side of that fence seemed far away. When I asked my mama why, she said, "Because that's the way things have always been." Sometimes when me and Mama went into town, I saw that girl with her mama. She looked sad sometimes, that girl did. "Don't stare," my mama said. "It's not polite." It rained a lot that summer. On rainy days, that girl sat on the fence in a raincoat. She let herself get all wet. She acted like she didn't even care. Sometimes I saw her dancing around in puddles, splashing and laughing. Mama wouldn't let me go out in the rain. "That's why I bought you rainy day toys," my mama said. "You stay here, where it's warm and safe and dry." But every time it rained, I looked for that girl, and I always found her, somewhere near that fence. Someplace in the middle of the summer, the rain stopped. When I walked outside, the grass was damp and the sun was already high in the sky. I stood there with my hands up in the air. I felt brave that day. I felt free. I got close to the fence, and that girl asked me my name. "Clover," I said. "My name's Annie," she said. "Annie Paw. I live over yonder. By where you see the laundry, that's my blouse hanging on the line." And then she smiled. She had a pretty smile. And then I smiled. And we stood there looking at each other, smiling. "It's nice up on this fence," Annie said. "You can see all over." I ran my hand along the fence. I reached up and I touched the top of it. "A fence like this was made for sitting on," Annie said, and she looked at me sideways. "My mama says I shouldn't go on the other side," I said. "My mama says the same thing, but she never said nothing about sitting on it." "Neither did mine," I said. That summer, me and Annie sat together on that fence. And when Sandra and them looked at me funny, I just made believe I didn't care. Some mornings, my mama watched us. I waited for her to tell me to get down from the fence before I break my neck or something, but she never did. "I see you made a new friend," she said one morning, and I nodded, and Mama smiled. That summer, me and Annie sat on that fence and watched the whole world around us. One day, Sandra and them were jumping rope near the fence, and we asked if we could play. "I don't care," Sandra said. And when we jumped, Sandra and me were partners the way we used to be. When we were too tired to jump anymore, we sat up on the fence, all of us in a long line. "Someday, somebody's going to come along and knock this old fence down," Annie said. And I nodded. "Yeah," I said, "someday."
Now is the time in our service we set aside for sharing our joys and sorrows, because a joy shared is multiplied and a sorrow shared is lightened. If you choose, please come forward to light a candle, put a stone in the bowl, and write your joy or sorrow to be read in the service. If you are with us online, please write it in the chat, and regardless of whether you're here or online, please tell us whether you want us to read it with your name or not. Please come up by the center aisle and return by the side aisle. Let me begin by lighting a candle for the people of Ukraine. We have a number of shared joys and sorrows. This from Ann Stillwater. A month from today, my daughter Robin Stillwater is getting married with a big reception in Illinois. So she and JD are a huge joy. Michael Mark shares, got the news of passing of two good college friends. That's a sorrow. And it's sad when people we knew. And this I know because I wrote it. And if Nan, my wife Nan, were here, she'd be smiling from ear to ear. We are delighted that our friend Timothy White has been chosen one of the, quote, next generation of black leaders of Central PA by the Patriot News. From Rachel Mark, candle of sorrow in memory of Chuck Claddell, who died this past week. Chuck and Nancy Claddell were members here before they moved to New Hampshire. Our thoughts and prayers go with them to that family. We have been blessed. This is, I don't know if this is maybe shared or not.
Jen,
So, okay.
that's the area on aging.
We have been blessed by the help from the Agency on Aging, helping us with some disturbing practices from companies. Yeah, and I've known people who've worked with the Agency on Aging, and they can be incredibly helpful. So thank you for sharing that. They are a community resource. Spirit of life, God of many names and lands, whom some do not name, be with us, and especially be with those sharing joy, and comfort those with a sorrow named or not. May we now be in a time of healing silence. Amen, and blessed be.
Good morning. Our reading this morning is by Sharee Woodbury, who is the settled minister at the First Unitarian Church of Omaha. And the name of the reading is In Our Circle Again. Here we are in our circle again, a circle of vision and reflection, a forum for deciding and empowering.
Here we are at the base of another bridge, another space spanning the shores of today and tomorrow, beckoning us to cross the chasm one day at a time.
Here we are, gathered again at the cusp of the future, at the boundary that holds community together.
We are here in a circle of love and trust, brought to this moment by a series of choices and promises, by hope and gratitude, by our own shadows, faced and befriended.
With a servant's heart, with a leader's listening, with a parent's love, truer than all our inner trembling, let us model the health we seek for all and lean into community.
Somewhere out there, all we dream is possible. Somewhere in here, we are sowing the seeds.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Sharee Clark. Sharee was born and raised in New York City. She attended New York City public schools, and she spent her adolescent years advocating for LGBTQ rights as a peer educator for the AIDS Center of Queens County, and later a New York City youth advocate lobbying for policies that supported equal rights and protections for marginalized communities. The murder of George Floyd ignited a passion and desire to return to her advocacy roots. To support local protest efforts, she co-founded Freedom Fighters, a grassroots organization dedicated to fighting for justice and equality. Since that time, she has participated in the planning and execution of several community building projects, organized numerous rallies, facilitated voter registration drives, and get out the vote campaigns. Sharee has developed and cultivated several statewide partnerships and allies. And during the 2022 election cycle, she served as the consulting organizer for UU the Vote Pennsylvania campaign, where she utilized her skills, knowledge, and partnerships to assist UU Justice PA to reach their organizational goals. We welcome Sharee Clark today to the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg.
Good morning, everyone. So it is definitely a privilege and an honor to stand before you today. I intend on following my version of the Beatitudes, which basically means I'm going to be brief, I'll be blunt, and then I'll be gone. Anytime I come to speak or converse with a set of individuals, I'm always challenged with, what do I want to leave as a thought? And so February comes with great joy for me. It is both the month where I turned my pain into a movement and also Black History Month. So both are exciting instances for me. And so I was excited to come and share in the month of February, which the world utilizes as, I would say, Love Month. And so what I'm going to attempt to do is to tie in my title, Why? Because I Love You, into a thought-provoking challenge for us to leave with concerning the work that we do. So the thought, why? Because I love you, I felt was appropriate because one of the things I was privileged to encounter working with UU Justice was the fact that I didn't have to pump or prime the people that I worked with, but the people that I worked with came to the table with a passion, ready to do this work. So I'm not really tasked with motivating to do the work. But what I want to do is ensure that that passion continues to burn for many years to come. And I discovered that in order for an igniter to continue to burn, you have to have a strong why. And the why has to come from a deeper place than just surface motivation or the obligation to do something. Because that will quickly burn out and you'll be left either wondering what to do next or waiting for someone to do what needs to be done. So I want to just consider the attributes of love. And it makes sense that it would be the heart or the catalyst of the work that we do. So love is patient, it's kind, it's content, it's humble, it is respectful, it is selfless, it is slow to anger, it is forgiving, it is truthful, protective, trusting, hopeful, persevering, and unfailing. If we do not intentionally ponder the why and ensure that the answer is rooted in these attributes, we may find ourselves just involved in the work of social justice because we perceive that it's the right thing to do. But eventually, unfortunately, it will lead to burnout, disengagement, and crossing our arms, possibly in frustration. Intellectually, we can assess the country's situation and all agree that the work of social justice is needed. But what drives people to actually take part in the work? It is not the what we do, but it is the why. One of the questions that continued to come up throughout the campaign in 2022 was, how can we motivate more people to action? And what I found is that the answer rested in those that participated in the opportunities that presented themselves. You see, they all seemed to have a shared set of qualities that drove them to do what it is that they did. They all seemed to exhibit the qualities that encompass love. I mean, they came to the table with that. It was nothing on the outside, but it was something that was burning on the inside. They had a deep and an infectious love for not only the work, but the people that they were serving. Having the momentum to fight for the rights and the voice of others certainly requires a sustainable and unconditional source that will motivate us beyond our feelings, that will motivate in the face of defeat, that will motivate when it looks dark and hopeless, when the state of affairs worsen. You see, love has all of the ingredients necessary to equip us to endure through all of these obstacles. All of the obstacles that we will certainly face in this work. You see, it will get darker before it gets brighter. We will face defeat. However, on the other side of these obstacles will be victory. The why has to simply be because I love you. It is the only thing that will motivate beyond what we see in front of us in the immediate sense. Your why will eventually pull you into your who. Who am I called to serve? And who do I need to become to serve effectively? Your who will then be the catalyst for the what you do. And then when you do it and how you do it becomes easy, only if we solidify our why. You see, once you know your why, the what becomes clearer. And once the what is in focus, well, the when and how is easy. We have to intentionally engage our who in order to successfully create our what. Before I go, I want to also take a look at another point, and at the end, I'll tie them together, I promise. I want you to imagine a swinging pendulum, just for a moment. Just back and forth, seemingly out of control in the beginning. I want to use this illustration to express the importance of the dual side of the social justice spectrum. See, the work that we do has two sides. There's the side that engages community, builds relationships, and encourages people to become involved. But there's also the side that encourages policy and challenges our elected officials to be held accountable to their promises of service. They are not two sides of a fence or separate sides of a pendulum, but they must work together in order for our work to collectively be effective. We must become equally passionate and active in both grassroots education and empowerment of the communities most impacted by inequality and injustice, and also focusing on empowering those community members to be civically engaged, we have to be just as focused on advocating with our elected officials and ensuring that they are held accountable and that they do understand the needs of the communities that we represent. It is only when we apply ourselves equally to both ends of the pendulum that we will see the policies implemented and enforced that will serve our communities best. The only way we can truly stop the pendulum from swinging from one extreme to the other is when we balance our efforts and eventually evenly distribute our focus and goals. Basically, what I'm here today to state is that love looks like right now. Love challenges us to look in our hands and see how we can place them to the plow right now. It doesn't require deep thought, it just requires love-led passion and a desire to see the community that you serve be better and do better. We all can play a part. I like to often say, one finger can press a button, 2 fingers can pluck a nerve. But when a collective set of fingers come together to form a fist, that fist can give a mighty blow to injustice and inequality. As I close, I want us to challenge ourselves and consider the illustration told earlier in the story, and not allow the fence of our individual function or side of the pendulum to keep us from collectively strategizing on the fence for a deeper and wider impact. Together, in love, we can definitely give a significant blow to inequality and injustice. Love as our fuel and a cohesive collective strategy, there is no limit to the good trouble we can find ourselves in. Thank you.
The Unitarian Church of Harrisburg is, as always, a freely gathered church of free people. The church is created, sustained, and supported by you. Each month, we share half of our Sunday plate with a local nonprofit organization. For the month of February, UCH will be sharing the plate with the LGBT Center of Central Pennsylvania. The LGBT Center of Central Pennsylvania fosters inclusive communities and holistic well-being for LGBTQ plus people in Central Pennsylvania. For those who wish to contribute online, please see the email with the link for today's service or visit uchbg.org homepage for options for contributing. For those who are here in the sanctuary, the collection plates will be passed around by today's ushers. Your financial support and commitment matter. Please consider giving what you are able. Please join us in our closing hymn, which is number 169 in the gray hymnal, not the teal hymnal. We shall overcome. We all emerge from, dwell within, are transformed by, and called back to love. May your mind be humbled before this mystery. May your heart grow hopeful by it. May you be sustained by this love always.